Welcome to Kapow 2012. You're here with Talk Comics and the famous Mark Millar.
How's it going?
We finally got him on the show.
Hello, nice to see you.
Well, how have you been finding Kapow 2012?
It's been amazing. The thing that is weird for me, this is Sunday morning and I don't have a hangover. It's the first time I've been at a convention since I was 17 that I haven't woken up with a hangover. We just had a baby and the baby means we're in bed at 10:30 at night, so I wasn't drinking last night. I woke up fresh as a daisy. It's like a whole new world for me, you know.
Me and you have something in common. I had a baby 5 months ago.
God, I hope it's not the same baby. Is it small and bald with no teeth?
Yes, actually.
Somebody's just scammed the two of us. Are you paying all this money? Yeah.
I am. I think you've caught me. Quick question. Avengers movie.
Yeah.
Brian Hitch drew a lot of those original concepts with your run in the Ultimates.
Yeah.
The new Avengers movie kind of looks a lot like that run.
Yeah. Yeah, it's very flattering. It's nice, you know. I mean, like, there's a history of in comic books, movies. You know, there's a crossover. You know, the Killing Joke featured quite a lot in Tim Burton's 1989 Batman and so on. You know, Frank Miller's Daredevil. Some elements of that were in the Daredevil movie, and it makes sense, you know, like when the guys are putting scripts together, they have a look at a few of the comics that worked well. And the Ultimates, I think it made the Avengers quite an easy transition to movies. Like, Avengers was always quite an unusual one. I remember Kevin Feige said it's the one thing he thought he wouldn't be able to do because it was so many different concepts coming together in a single movie, but the Ultimates kind of simplified it quite a lot, and I think that was quite useful to them. And the guys were very nice. I mean, I worked as a consultant out there in the 5 years ago when these things were first talked about, and you know, they own it all, you know. I mean, I'm only the decorator. I'm the guy who comes in and gives the thing a lick of paint.
You kind of answered my next question, because I was going to ask you if you were a consultant on the actual movie.
Not on the Avengers. I'd left Marvel by that point. I mean, I left Marvel a year and a half ago now, but like around about 2006 I started doing the brain trust stuff at Marvel, like kind of going out and sitting with them while they were doing this stuff. Me and Brian Bendis did that, and some of the editors, and you know, so we knew this was the long-term plan. The Ultimates universe is a little bit more film-friendly than the regular Marvel universe, and Brian Hitch's designs are so fantastic. Like, it just works better in the real world, that kind of outrageous stuff, when it's given Hitch's kind of realism.
I mean, you've managed to do something quite rare actually in the comic industry, because you've taken your writing and what people recognised as your library of excellent work, and now you've turned it into Millar World and the whole thing that you're producing. So you now got your Super Crooks. You had Kick-Ass come to the screen with Marvel, and now you've kind of able to take that on. So
Marvel had nothing to do with Kick-Ass.
No, I mean, but didn't the comic get originally? Didn't get. Yeah. I meant the comic got published, but the actual movie, you've managed to get that out on screen and all that. Yeah. So is the next step taking all your next publications into the movie industry again and crossing over everything?
Oh, that's what I do now. You know, I mean, I've done this for years now, really. You know, like Wanted we sold as a movie in 2003 or 2004, and then it came out in 2008. Kick-Ass we sold in 2007, it came out in 2010, and Kick-Ass 2, Wanted 2, Super Crooks, Nemesis, War Heroes and so on, you know, these are all in various stages of development. Like, a couple of them are shooting this year, American Jesus and Secret Service as well, and my plan is just to do what Marvel did, you know, like in the 40s you had DC, in the 60s you had Marvel, in the 90s there was Image, and my plan is for Millar World to just be this decade's thing like that. So I'm a comics guy, but I'm savvy enough to realise that there's a potential $100 million advert out there for your book if you have a film of it. So Kick-Ass and all that, you know, I mean, it would never have sold like what it did sell if we didn't have a movie tie-in. I mean, we were in the New York Times bestseller list at #1 with a hardcover and everything.
I mean, you're not really an entrepreneur. I mean, you're not really a writer anymore. You're an entrepreneur.
No, I'm a writer. I mean, 99.9% of my time is sitting in front of that computer writing stories, you know. Right. But there's a great history in comics of guys being ripped off, you know, like even the guys who are just a little bit older than me don't own their creations, you know, the Alan Moores and Dave Gibbons and so on, and they've no control over the franchises because, you know, it's out of their hands. Big companies have it. And what I always say to people is, either you control it or big companies control it, you know, so the guys who made it up are the people who ultimately, you know, who should own these things morally, you know. So if you don't make sure you own it, you're being really stupid, you know, by letting other companies take over. And in the days of Alan Moore and Dave Gibbons doing Watchmen, they couldn't have conceived the world that we're living in now, you know. But guys now have to be a little bit more savvy. If you're creator owned, check your contracts very carefully, because potentially there's, you know, you could be ripped off enormously.
I recently saw one of your sneak peeks, if you like, of the Super Crooks movie, where you were interviewing lots of different people from around the world, in Europe really mostly, and asking them about, you know, what would happen if villains were going to come. What was the idea behind that?
Well, that was a viral. Those were actors, all of those people, you know. So the idea was, it was a jokey thing. That the idea behind Super Crooks is a very simple one. It's like, what if a bunch of American supervillains get fed up with being busted by American superheroes? So they go somewhere where there's no superheroes. They go to Spain, where there's nobody to put them in prison. So we wanted to do a viral where it showed the European perspective on the American superhero. So they're all quite snotty and all smoking cigarettes in cafes and laughing about the fact Americans have to deal with supervillains and things. And then at the end, the interviewer says, you know, what if they came here, what would you do? And they're like, well, we've got the cops. And then it cuts to two fat Spanish cops kind of thing, you know. And that sets up the story, and it's the tone of what Super Crooks is all about. Yeah.
Also, the America Jesus, I've been waiting personally for Volume 2 for a long time. Are we going to see it anytime soon?
It's out in December, yeah.
It's out in December.
Yeah,
okay.
Well, what happened was, I wrote that in 2003, came out 2004, and it was always going to be 9 issues. It was like 3 trilogies, you know, because it feels kind of holy if it's in trinities and things, you know. So I did, Chosen was book 1, the next one, The Reluctant Messiah, is book 2, and then Death Camp USA is book 3, you know, it's like three volumes, and they'll all be done by next Christmas, like the year after next, so the final 6 issues, and then they'll be collected into a book before the movie comes out. The movie will be out in Easter 2014.
One more question. I saw, you brought out a kind of advert for Millar World, I suppose.
Yeah.
You went into a school and you had loads of children, and you were like, do you know what I do?
Yeah.
A lot of your work is for adults.
Yeah.
So what was the idea? Was it the contrast between children knowing the adult work that you're doing?
I just thought it was funny. Like having me shouting at children was great fun. And the thing is, I mean, a lot of the children were either my family or my friends' kids and things. So the kids all knew me, but even still, they were getting a little upset. And the little one at the end, you know, she's only 5. And I went right up to her face and screamed into her face. And we did like 15 takes of this, and her little eyes were watering up, even though I'm her uncle.
Was the school the actual school that your kids are going to? Or?
No. This is it's a local school. It's an amazing school who were crazy enough to actually give us the keys to the place for the day. You know?
First of all, thank you very much for talking to us.
No,
it's been an absolute pleasure. But I can't leave you without asking you one last thing, because I know that everyone's going to want to know. What is the next step after these movies have come out and you've done the comics and we've had the series? What do you think is the last broad picture for Mark Millar? How can you rise any higher? You have the con, you have the films, and you're going to be having the comic books obviously as well. Where else is there to branch?
The Chancellorship of Germany. And maybe some of the peripheral countries, maybe in the next 2 to 5 years, as we move towards the UK, take the UK and then attack America.
China.
Well, once I've got America, then I'll feel confident to take on China.
Are we going to see anime versions of your books?
No.
Well, Marvel have done it.
I suppose, you know, I mean, I just don't buy anime. Like, I think I'm just the wrong generation. Like, I'm 42, and like, you know, anime just, those are the guys that's coming in to replace me in 10 years' time, you know. So like, I just didn't grow up with it. I mean, my daughter grew up with Pokemon and everything. I grew up with Pink Panther.
Yeah, it's a generational gap, I suppose.
It really is, yeah. And the same way that my dad didn't get Alan Moore and all that kind of stuff, or Frank Miller, you know, the stuff that really meant something to me growing up. I just don't get the anime stuff, you know, but like, good luck to it all, you know. So.
Well, thank you again. That was Mark Millar. This is Kapow 2012. We'll see you next year as well here, hopefully, and we'll see you next month for Talking Comic Issue 9.